Hey everyone, in this video I'll be showing you the top 5 best water-based locations in Palworld's 1.0 update, as well as give some inspiration for base design. As of yesterday's update, the aquatic construction kit you can now get at level 23, which lets you set up a water base early on compared to at the very end game, which lets you do some cool things here like this pirate ship. Now, one thing unfortunately about these style of bases is that you have to get all the resources yourself, as there's not many locations here that's going to have resources on like the edge of a coast. But with getting the aquatic construction kit here at level 23, the next level we get the ore mining site, which lets you get ore in any location. So there will be other locations for bases I'll have in the pinned comment there if you prefer to have certain ones for like sulfur and other resources. But for the purposes of this video, we'll be talking about water bases because you can do some pretty cool stuff with them. I would also recommend going into your world settings and turning off the base deterioration so that you're able to build outside of the base's circle here. This lets you do some pretty cool stuff like build boardwalks in the watery sections and allows you to actually set up and do some many different locations that you probably wouldn't normally do. So for our first base location here, it's going to be just to the west of our Hill of Beginnings here. And I like to set up in this spot right here at 33 minus 533. I also like to set up a base roughly right there as well, as there's a lot of resources in this section. So you can go and set up a base obviously up here with a ton of different ore spots here, which is great. But if you want to end up moving and setting up a watery base, this one works great too. And you could honestly do bases at both locations as it's not too far to transport your materials. But this here is the pirate ship style base that I went with because it is just perfect for this theming. It feels like we're in kind of like Elden Ring, and some piratey themes just feel right. So with this, I made a little bed here from my character, and then into the basement, this is where we got all the like ore production here. So with this, you also have the back section, which is where we put all the pals for resting. So with this, you can, have like a little bit of a bed here, and then out on the sunny section, that's where we put all like the plants, and you could put your lumbering here as well. And I got an assembly line, so everything that we need all in this section. I also built a little mini ship here, and if you want, you can go with 2 ships. Like I could have built another one and connected it with a foundation there to have 2 of them in a row, and I think that would be the most optimal way to do that. But I could also rearrange the pal box and put it closer to like over here, for example, and set up some like mini houses on the boardwalk. But in addition to this, I also built the boardwalk all the way up to the dungeons here, so you have easy access to go and fight these 2 dungeons. That's the nice thing about this spot, is there's 2 dungeons literally right here, lots of trees, stone, and other resources as well to set up. And then again, this is probably one of the best early game locations just right here, so if you wanted to grab ore and stuff and even do like a double base setup, this works very well. And with a lot of these water bases, we're taking the view into account because obviously it's not like metagaming to go on a water base because you're not able to get the resources from the land. So yeah, we're taking the view into account here. You also got the big bubble over there, but it's mostly this beautiful bridge view. And it's close proximity to 2 dungeons. Now, if you want something a little bit more practical, our second base location, there's a couple really good ones. Now, coming to 917191 here, or there's also the alternative by setting up a base at around 397 minus 463. We got water here, but we also have water on the other side of this. But the main thing about base locations here is that you get kinship peaches manually just by them spawning in the water, and your pals will go and grab them. So this is gonna be a great spot to set up, but these also will have oil. So there's gonna be 3 nodes here on the ground, which is incredible, so you can set those up. And then there's going to be 3 nodes right here, and there's some water right there you can build in. You can also reach around, and if you wanted to set up your base outside on the back here, like do up a dock and maybe like a pirate ship style, and then also still be able to get the oil there, you can build a ladder up to them. That is another option here. So I really like this setup here. I typically build very tall bases, but having water is great because you can also set these up and build them tall as well. So again, kinship peaches in this section. There's also this spot down here with 3 oil nodes as well, and you can stretch it enough so that the kinship peaches are grabbable from there. You can also set up a base outside here, as there are some other things with like fishing nodes, but I really like these small islands just because they are a great source of just the oil and peaches, which are 2 things you're always going to need. So again, yeah, you can see it on the map, 3 oil nodes there. This is a great spot. You can also build in and around this, but you typically would like to take advantage of the oil nodes. There is still a glitch that I posted the other day that works in the latest update where you can put 10 oil nodes down at the same time to get 10 times the oil. So you could actually just make sure you grab one of the oil nodes, get 10 times the resources from that, and then, you know, build out into the water here, because the view from this section is also beautiful. So you do see the world tree from a distance. You got those very nice fishing spots. So I do personally like this setup here, and I also have like the house set up there. So yeah, solid location overall. And our third location is going to be just in the very center of the map. And honestly, one of the most beautiful locations in the game. This is -61, -36. This gives you a view of the world tree. You also can see off in the distance, you got a little bit of the lava, you got the sand there, and we also have the hills and everything else in this section. Now, I previously have set up a base. This is actually one of my favorite base locations, just right here, overlooking on this hill. Now, is this practical? Not really, but it's for the looks and the view. So you can set up like a spot just like this here. So very tall tower, got my entire base working, but then you can see the little base just right down here. So the view from up here is gorgeous, but it is also very nice down low. This base also just has basic house setup here. So I went around a perimeter here with a bunch of different tropical trees, got the electricity, planting grid just right there. And then we have all of our mineral locations just in that spot there with small gaps so that the pals can move through them. And then we got our big house here. So you can go ahead with the beds on the base floor here. And then we also got the staircase up. Now, I really like this Japanese style wall because you can just make these all into like these doors, and they fit well with roofs, as you can see there. So yes, it's a ton of different doors. You can open this up how you see fit. I actually think that this works great for if you're doing like a bed style setup, because if you want a little bit of light in the morning, you can just open up the blinds. And this even allows you to set like an extra roof out if you want to have like a deck built. But yeah, you see it here. This is like the basic house that we got set up. I have a staircase there. And then yeah, mostly just circle. This base is taking advantage of all the space that we got. We could build a tower up and do the same thing around, because you're able to build a roof if you have a foundation below it. So you could ideally do another setup of the same width, just like build your walls up like 4 or 5 high and do this all over again. But yeah, I was running out of space here. We just have a whole lot of room for activities, but it is a general base that is meant to look good and bang smack right in the middle of the map. And next up, we got another location with a beautiful view of the world tree, as well as some other cool things in this distance. Now, this location right here is at the -401, -275. We're right beside the volcano here, so you do have fire pals in the region, and there's actually a lot of meteorites that can pop up in this section. Now, what I did for this is something cool. So just basically put glass on the ground, dyed it black so it looks a little bit more see-through. And there's actually a trick that you can make elevators in this game. So you can literally just drop down into the water and pop up on top of our base. I do have a separate video on how to do that, but the game glitches out whenever there's a water surface and then you have like an actual pool of water here. It'll teleport you into it. So not only is it cool looking because you can teleport straight from the base floor up to the top, but you also have a fishing location you can have for your base as well. So yeah, you can see it here, the base floor. I don't really have much going on, just like general ores that I need, as well as trees. We do have this quick teleportation device that lets you get right up to the top if you don't want to climb up the stairs. And I did put two things of stairs here. We have all like the hot tub and the like electricity here. This one's mostly just to look cool in this area, and I actually think this is a very beautiful area. You can build anywhere along here. The reason I went for this is just that clean view of the world tree there, but you can see you got a lot of fire eggs here, so if you're looking for a particular pal, there's one right there, there's one right in front of me. A lot of eggs will spawn in this region, especially if you're looking for like Blasphemous or many other pals. And yeah, this entire section here is quite nice just because it is watery, but it has unique views, these white rocks here. So yeah, I like this. You can build a little bit further down. I just went with this. And then you also don't have to like barricade the entire waterway off. I just made like a little land bridge there to glass, dyed black just because I thought it looked nice. So overall, this is a pretty solid base location. I like it just because you got that world tree looming in the distance, and then you also have these cool rocks here, and yeah, teleporter. So that is a base that you can go with here. And our final base here is actually a cool location. Now, you do have to change the setting if you want this to be perfectly optimal, but we're looking at the world tree again here. This is going to be at -344,779. Now, the base setting that I was talking about is you have to turn it on so that you can have enemies spawn near you, because there is a base that'll spawn here where the enemies will always be, and there's a 50% chance of you getting the legendary rod from it. But with this particular setup, the reason they're not spawning at the current moment is I built a bridge right here, right towards it. And the problem with that is if you build too close to an enemy camp, it tells the game not to do that unless you change the setting, which was just added in yesterday's update. But there's normally a group of enemies here, and they're actually very challenging. They do a lot of damage. damage. So what I did is I built a bridge and I put some mines on the bridge, and when they came after the character, they just got blown up. But with this base, went with the ancient technology. Now this is a very standard style of base. So we got on the interior, we have like our mining and stuff here. So whatever you need for resources, I put doors on the all the entrances, and then on the top floor, I went with doors in different locations. We have all the beds just inside here, and then the checkerboard design on the rooftop. This is using like the clean tiles for that. So again, there would be a group of enemies there that you could just go and farm, but I would recommend just flying your way across instead of building the land bridge, because again, it will despawn them unless you change that world setting, and it does take it's a little finicky to get it to pop back on. But yeah, I like this with the ancient tile. I like to use the ancient foundations here anytime that you're going to be setting up in a dangerous location, because they got 4,000 health, so they can help out when you're getting blasted away. But yeah, this is more so for if you're doing any type, if you need Coralum, there are tons and tons of different salvage locations here. So take your gel roy with you and you'll get lots of resources. So yeah, this base is more so just to be cool and grab all the items that are just right there. But yeah, as far as the aquatic bases go, they aren't obviously going to be as good as just regular bases because they don't have resources nearby. But water bases are meant to look cool. Now this, I guess, is a bonus, like 6th one here. This is actually in Sunreach. So going with the location here, -451, -1360. There are other spots. There's actually a lot of water here, so I encourage you to check this whole spot out here and just be mindful of those balls that'll teleport you. If you build a foundation, they typically stay away from it for the most part, but with this setup, I have like a glass base floor. I could have put some like ore mining in there. I use this one as a breeding farm because with breeding, you need to kind of make them tall so that you can put multiple of them down. So we have 2 on the base floor there. We have another one up there, and it provides, this is not that you're using the ancient hatchery. I prefer just the regular old, good old fashioned way. But water bases are a great way to get vertical. And then I also build up and put the house there with the luxury beds there. And then in the tower, we do have some beds so you can climb all the way through here. And yeah, this is a very standard base, but 2x2 on each of the walls here. And then I put a little wall, or a bit of a balcony out on here. And yeah, that is the final base there in the water zone. There's a lot of enemies in this spot, but if you build it up high enough, it isn't really much of a worry here. And you can see it's more so funny. So yeah, I'd recommend having like a base if you're doing a water base with like walls up so that it blocks the enemies in. Sometimes they'll get messed up and just get destroyed by it. But yeah, you can also do some cool things like these slanted roofs there to be able to climb out your way under and then climb back up. Now, enemies will kind of, you know, they're not being hostile here. So that is another nice thing about water bases, is it sometimes messes with the enemy's AI, but that is the best water base locations in Palworld's 1.0 update. Let me know your favorite though, because this is more so a thing about beauty and just looking for like the coolest locations to set up your base. So let me know your thoughts in the comments. Hit the subscribe button below if you enjoyed, and we'll catch you all in the next video.